Hi, this is Charlie giving you Monday's market commentary. I hope you're very well. We're going to be going into the analysis and everything else today, as normal with Monday's market commentaries. But just before we go any further, just want to cover off this cable because remember, if you were watching the Friday's video update, we were in that trade, and as you can see, it has actually rolled over. I thought we were going to probably continue to run up as we had done, so I left that position open. Remember, those two positions open, so they obviously rolled over and it stopped me out. So as you can see. Here's the two trades back from 76 and got stopped out there ultimately at 62. So I took that loss there. But it wasn't obviously. But remember, I was net. I'd made it back to. Remember, we were down 2,000 and. But it was on bank trades because I'd had those nice little gains. We were on bank trades minus 500 on Friday. So with that, it meant that Friday effectively was a minus 780 odd pounds net down. So that's how that's worked out. But so that's okay. So it's not as bad as being down 2,000, is it? Obviously. And so, but one of those things. Sometimes when you're trying to run your trades, on Friday I could have taken those gains, and ended up with a nice £300 gain for the day. But I didn't want to do that because I thought that we were going to come up and go further. As we haven't, then that's just one of those things when you're trying to run your trades. I still think that cable's probably going to come up. I think it must be very close because I'm still seeing divergent type behaviour on the 4-hour charts. But at the moment, then we have to just accept that it's rolled over, and we'll see what happens and keep our eye on it over the coming day or two. Anyway, let's go into the main market commentary. So I'm just looking at the moment at the pound dollar on the daily chart. So let's put a trend line onto here. So let's do that. Let's get a trend line on the daily charts. Let's put it across there. I think we can probably safely get a channel on. So again, even on the daily chart, so you can see we're there or thereabouts down towards the lower trend channel line. Not quite, but so a flush down towards that zone would again be right onto a support zone. So if the pound was to come down there, then again, if there were other things going on at that time, then I'd certainly be considering that, because I know that the pound's had a really good run to the downside, and ultimately it's going to want to come back up within that channel. Remember, we always play these channel plays, or at least watch these channel plays when they're moving around like that. So that's something to consider there on the pound. Put this trend channel on, because that will certainly come into play should we get down there. I could adjust this slightly because they've got more touches against more of these lows at that point. So there you go. But it's still not being quite down there. So anyway, so that's the pound. So watch that playing within the channel. But when we get a channel in one direction or another, ultimately at some point it'll come back up to the upper side of it, and potentially then even break out. So that's one thing we have to be aware of there on the pound. So I'll take that off for now. But at least you can see what we're looking at. I'm sure a lot of you have already got that down. Let's have a look at the euro, then we'll go into the indices, stock market indices. Now, one thing to bear in mind today, it is US bank holiday today, so there's not going to be too much going on today. Euro's not really moving too much at the moment. Let's have a look at the an hourly chart of it. There's not really too much going on, but I'm not doing intraday analysis here today so much. So, again, we've got the G20 summit over the weekend, and what with bank holiday today, I'm not expecting too much to be going on. So let's have a look at the. So that's the euro. Let's have a look at the. The euro. Well, we're back again down at this lower trend channel line, which is all great, but ultimately might get a bit of a bounce here. But at some stage, a bit like that cable, at some stage, euro, if it does break this trend channel, then it could have quite a decent move down. So again, watch for that. But I wouldn't try and play it at this stage. Just wait for the break, and then you'll be aware that you can measure the depth of this channel, and then project to see how far it may ultimately go, which would bring it all way down into the sub 30 anyway, sub 130. But for now, it's very close to this support zone, which I would expect initially it could well have a bounce. But if it doesn't bounce and it's weak and it has a proper close but outside it, then ultimately we'd be looking at that as a projection. Let's have a look at the stock market. Let's have a look at the S&P, and then we'll do a wrap. Okay. Yeah, now the S&P hasn't been moving too much, as you can see. Lots of sort of indecision type small candles. of late. It's had a tremendous run. Let's take it out to a weekly chart. Really, really good run. Very similar sort of run to these prior ones, and I just wonder again whether, as you can see, each successive run has been smaller than the previous one prior to the next rollover. So we'll just have to see whether this is getting close to a rollover or not. However, having said that, I would have thought that considering we are so close to the all-time highs, that I would really like to see the S&P come up and break that. So whether it's going to do that in this move or not, who knows? But we are so close to it. The all-time highs are only at just below 1600, and we're at 1520, so we're really not far away. So it's just a case of playing a wait and see game. But at the moment, trend obviously remains up, and we'll see what happens over the coming days. Really, again, we could put a trend channel on the S&P. So let's put that on. I can get that out of the way. So put this on like this. Okay, there we go. So it's on a daily chart there, and so again at the moment it's very close to its upper trend channel line, and ultimately it's going to want to come back down to the lower trend channel. Maybe let's just get that throw over. Maybe it'll just get that throw over if it does want to go up on this occasion to get up to those highs. If it doesn't and it pulls back from here, then I would ultimately still be expecting it to go higher. So any pullback, then I would expect that challenge. I think we've got too close to the prior high there for us not to go for it at some point. So it's going to be interesting whatever way. We're either going to go straight up for it from here, or if we were to start pulling back, so be it. But then I would be looking for ultimately over the next month or two for it to come back up for that. Okay, let's leave it at that. Let's have a look. Oh no, we've got gold on there as well, haven't we? Let's have a quick look at gold. I could look at oil as well. Gold daily charts, not saying too much, but if we come out to the weekly and then monthly charts, we start to get an idea, if we come out to a monthly chart, that it's still just in this overall consolidation range since it put that big, remember that bearish engulfing type candle in late 2011 that it put in. It's really struggled ever since then, and if anything, it's looking like it might just be in the early phase on a monthly basis here of a rollover, so it may still want to come back down for that monthly 50 MA. So other than that, not too much more to say. And oil is, oil's doing all right. Let's have a look at oil. Oil's doing okay. Let's go out to a weekly chart, make it a bit easier. It's got this sort of big triangle pattern in play at the moment, which it's broken to the upside. If I was to put that trend line in, you can see we've broken out, and at the moment you would think that maybe oil's going to go to the upside, what with US driving season coming on us, not yet, but in a few months time, and so traditionally it pushes oil prices up. So we'll see if we get a proper breakout to the upside or not yet, but it's certainly winding itself up. One to watch. Okay, that's me done. Have a fabulous week. Kim will be back in touch on Wednesday.